And they work in this room and they have their resources here in their drawers, and there's all these other resources that you can click on. This is web-based. Now, they've been given an authentic task, which is to investigate the closure of a school and the impact that that would have on a community in Australia. And it's a rural high school in Australia. So if you shut down a school, there's going to be big things, big implications for that. So they have to research the implications. And the way they do that, Peggy does her research using qualitative methods, and all her data is here in the drawer. So for instance, she's got interview questions that she would ask. You can see that, you know, none of these are very expensive programs. These have been done with minimal funds, but they do work beautifully. They're not that polished looking, but they do work beautifully as authentic learning environments. So all her data is in that drawer, and then Brian's looking at it from a quantitative point of view. So he's looking at data about the demographics and students and so forth that are coming up through the system and so forth. So basically, their polished product is they write this up as a research report, as if it had been commissioned by the education department who were going to close the school. Now, the second example is a more simple one. This was created by John Fitzsimmons at Central Queensland University, and he teaches a subject called North American Fiction and Film. What he did to create an authentic learning environment with that was to actually give students a role as a member of an editorial board. So he just made this website himself, but it's a beautiful example of an authentic learning environment. So basically what he did was he got the students to imagine that they're editors on the board. They still do exactly what they did before. They read the text, they write up a critique, but they submit their work to this journal, which is called North American Fiction and Film online. And every year they actually publish, every time that this subject runs, they publish this North American Fiction and Film journal. And the best essays, the best critiques are chosen by all the students. So imagine that they're not only writing, they're also reviewing each other's work and reflecting on that and assessing, evaluating the quality of each other's work. So very, very powerful example of an authentic learning environment. This is for students who are learning business writing. What they do, they go to work in a company which makes music records. That's how old it is. But you can have a look. This whole site, it now resides on our Authentic Learning site. So you can go in and actually explore this whole thing if you want to. But what happens is the students go to work for 2 weeks at this company. And what they've been asked to do by the CEO, Angela, we go in and see Angela, and basically what they did, they didn't have much in the way of visuals. They put their money into the audio, so they got actors to do the audio.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Virtual. Oh, congratulations on presenting so well in your interview a fortnight ago. We're all very impressed by your uni work and your enthusiasm to be part of our team. Here, take a seat. Oh, if you'd like tea or coffee, I can ask Sharon. But look, why don't you wait until after we've had a chat, because I'd prefer to get straight into business now.
I won't go through all of that, but basically the CEO says, in our company, we suffer from not having good communication channels. I want you to do a little research project, work out whether we could benefit from a newsletter. So what the student has to do, and remember this is to learn business writing, and the CEO's going away, so in order to communicate with her, we have to write memos, we have to write up the whole report, so we have to learn about the means that you communicate within a business. So basically, she goes on and on about what she wants her to do, so it's quite complex. And then you go back to your office, and here what you're going to do is interview the staff. So what is really nice about this, the students kept a physical diary, and that was part of the assessment that they handed in. So they actually had to make appointments with people. So we've been given an indication of, well, why don't you try and talk to these people today? So rather than just like the technology, I should be able to just click on Mario there if I wanted to go and see him. But instead of that, I have to write down his number and then actually phone him, which I can do here. So if I note 1231 and close, then I can go to my dialer, and then I can dial him up and make an appointment. And notice your voice, it's never spoken, it's just written because of the gender.
You've just started and already you want to interview me. Well, I'm a very busy guy, but I guess you've come to the right place if you want to know all about virtual. I can give you some time, say the Savo, but you'll have to make it snappy. 15 minutes max. We'll see you around 2 then, okay?
Okay, so now you've made an appointment, you can then actually go and interview that person. And before we do that, I just want to show you that there's a whole range of other resources here. For instance, the library. Now, this is where you can find out how do you communicate in a business. And instead of reinventing the wheel, these simply link to other resources that already reside on the internet. But now that I've made an appointment with Mario, I can go and see him. If I hadn't made an appointment, it wouldn't let me in. But what they've done, it's very nice because you can only ask 5 questions, or 2 or 3, I think, actually, and you have a choice of 5. So if I ask, do you think it would be a good idea to start a newsletter at Virtual Records? He's very suspicious.
Ah, so I get it. This is Angela's doing, isn't it? To get support for her newsletter idea. Yeah, I should have known. Well, she already knows what I think about it all. As far as I'm concerned, I've got better things to do with my time, not to mention it being a drain on our department's budget and resources.
So I'll just stop it there, but you can see there's the way that they've scripted this, there's a lot of peripheral information about what happens in a business. And this is something which matches really nicely with the situated learning theory, where people learn to be professional by watching what other professionals do. And having that legitimate peripheral participation is something that comes through very strongly in this. And then this is one that's been developed for Year 10 school students, history students, and this is a teacher from Coonabarabran High School, which is a very remote part of Australia in New South Wales. And he's developed this wonderful site, which is very authentic. In Australia, every small town has a memorial to its fallen soldiers. And what he gets his students to do, the history students, this is the one in their town. They would go to the memorial, which they can see here. The names aren't really clear, but he's improved this in a later version, he told me. But the students choose a name from the wall, and remember it's a small country town. They may in fact know or be related to a name that's there. And then what they do, they choose a name, then they research that soldier. And what he does, he links the students to wonderful resources which already exist through the Australian War Memorial and other places within Australia. So the students would, first of all, find PDF records. All the records of the soldiers are on PDF form. So they would find records of the soldier from the PDFs. Then once they have the name of a unit or a battalion, they would then go and research where the battalion went and so forth. So, and then what they do, they write it up as a story, the story of this soldier in World War I. And they do it prior to Memorial Days in Australia. And then the local newspaper publishes, each time it runs, they publish one of the histories, and the other ones they put up on the web, so those polished products.